I'm going to start now. Hit
All right.
OK. 2, 1. Well, welcome
All right.
back to another Life in Linux with myself, Toss Today, Total O.
Today.
I'm the friend. We chatted, had a Diet Coke with lemon. It's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And made it back in time for another Life in Linux. So
Very
welcome
nice.
aboard, everybody in the chat, and people who watch this live later on. Welcome again. So tonight's topic, at least one topic, is how has Linux affected your life, good or bad?
Yeah, well, I mean, I hope it'd be good. Otherwise, we probably would be doing,
If it wasn't,
life in Windows.
you know what? Maybe to make this fair, maybe I should do a solo Life in Windows. Yeah, because
There you
Windows
go.
Windows uses your people too. So
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, I should do a Life in Windows.
I came up with another one I was going to suggest to you too, and then I just liked your idea so much, I just can't remember what I wrote down now.
Okay.
So I didn't write it down. It's the problem.
I didn't write it.
Oh,
I mean, I had notes like last night, news items, but I didn't write any notes for
yeah.
tonight. But if something comes up, I'll make a note of it. Yes, we actually use a pen and pad. Imagine that.
Hey, you know what?
Yeah.
This is my actual list of video things.
There you go.
This is one of my business logbooks, and the other one is also on paper. It's just outside of my reach of view. I do a lot on paper. It's shocking.
I do it too. That's
and
one way
the
to stay
reality-
connected. Yeah.
Yeah, and the reality is when you allow computers to take over everything in your life, it's a lot more problematic. But when I don't know why my title still says "Think of the Children." I just noticed that my banner title that's from my outdoor philosophy yesterday. I get rid of that. Oh,
Kids
boy.
are great. We love kids, don't we?
Yes, I did. That was my outdoor philosophy.
Yes, I saw briefly.
Yeah.
Madhouse Jack, Clive Joe says Linux is disrupting your sleep. Oh, all right. Don't. Come on, fish us in. What's going on? All right.
Yeah. Well, no,
Wow.
he just must be on Arch. He's just worried about fixing stuff.
Well, to
on
Arch, yeah.
Arch, so.
Please. Then you need a doctor.
Absolutely.
Robert Fitzpatrick, hello. Hello, Yu-Gi-Oh. Noah, welcome. Tonight is for the adults, Noah. Yeah. Okay? But welcome. Spin Viking. Yu-Gi-Oh says, hey guys, what's up? So, disrupting your sleep, Clive Joe. Come on, man. You got to fill us in. We're not going to let you slide on this. Yeah.
He's just using Arch, and it's doing its own archiness. And as Arch does archiness, you lose sleep. That's why I use Linux Mint.
Oh, he stayed up to watch Biddle. That's why. Well, duh.
Okay, all right.
So too much Linux. Well, too much of anything is a bad thing, even Linux. Okay, all right. Fair enough. That's, yeah.
Also, we should say for anyone here right now, we are dual streaming this.
Yes.
And so you can catch us on either Switch to Linux or on Total OS Today. And there we are. I have my title fixed now. There we are.
Very good.
It's Linux.
Logan, welcome. Yeah.
Life.
Check out the links below.
Yep.
Check out
And-
switchtolinux.com if you want to check out his stuff and support him. He has Patreon at Tom M and some other stuff.
Yep. And
but
I have your channel linked in my description below, but I didn't know what else to put. So how else can we find you and support you? You're on Patreon. What are you on Patreon?
Yeah, it's Total OS Today on Patreon. Actually, Toss Today. TOS Today on Patreon. Yeah,
Very cool.
just to
Very
keep it. And I want to give a shout out. I got an email right before I jumped on to a newest patron, Jerry. I'm not going to say his last name in case he wants to be somewhat anonymous, but Jerry, thank you.
Very good. Very cool.
Uh,
I have on my end Noah, greetings. William Nellis, Life in Linux. Yes.
Terry,
Life in
hi,
Linux.
Terry.
William Nellis is something that Toss and I usually do like once a week or so.
we try to, yeah. Terry says
sure,
sleep.
listen.
What sleep?
Yeah, yeah. Q1 Fiend. When I have a Life in Linux, the kitty cam is not officially on, but if I can
Yeah.
coax him over here, I'll show him on this camera. The reason is I actually use both of my cameras. So I use one so that Toss has someone to look at. And,
Yes, I like it. I had 2 cats in Florida, so I like kitty cats. Yeah.
Metal Lord, greetings. I don't remember you, Metal Lord. Hello, if this is your first time, everybody.
I don't have a cat, but I have a little mascot here. So.
Oh, you're gonna bring in the mascot. Do I have to bring in a kitty? Kitty, kitty.
Well, one's live and one's not real. So I don't, not fair, but okay.
Pizza. I was what in the world when I got a notification for tossing and STL at the same time. Whoa, how'd that happen? Like notifications are working? Yeah, there you go.
Well, I made a phone call to Uncle Guido Switch, and we took care of it. Yeah, but that's a secret. Shh.
Very good. William Nellis, Keegan, the Tennessean. Hello, Michael F. I remember you reviewed MX Linux, dude. Still use that in my main distro. I feel so spoiled with all the easy package managers. Very cool, Michael. Awesome. Thanks for watching. Like the horror spirit with the lime slices.
I feel like I'm overdressed. I have a new polo shirt in pink, and maybe I'm overdressed for tonight. It is summer, so I wanted to be cheerful. And,
I am exceptionally hot because I always wear my Switch to Linux shirt. But.
Okay. Now this is a light shirt I got at JCPenney's, because they still carry tall men's shirts. So there you go. Shout out to Jacques Panay. I shop at Jacques Panay.
That's what Saddle Ridge says, because of Linux, I met a great Bible teacher, Tom M. Very
awesome.
Cool. Thank you, Saddle Ridge. You're welcome.
Nice.
An hour fixing Manjaro. I couldn't stop until it was fixed. All right. And Metal Lord also says hello to you.
Hello.
Oh, okay. Toss. Metal Lord says Toss remembers you. So yeah, he's on my end.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
We'll give it a few more minutes, but tonight's topic is, well, first of all, welcome all again. How has Linux affected your life? We'll talk about that and maybe something else, time permitting. Terry says this week's BitO challenge is the latest Arco Linux version. Okay. Why not? I still laugh because Arco was the name of an American petroleum oil company.
If it's Orco Linux, it was a character on He-Man.
See, it's nothing against Arco. It's just that it's like, see, it's Arco Linux, so is the desktop really slick? Haha.
Yeah, there you go.
There was a hi Heather. Yes, Heather, I wore the pink just for you, for all the ladies in the house. I used to live in Florida, so I used to wear this orange, teal, lavender shirts. I feel cheerful, lighten things up, Linux laptop. Hello, welcome.
Manjaro Jade, the Forbidden Desktop Environment. Ooh, very cool. Very cool indeed. All right.
Several BitO viewers are joining the Arco challenge. Very good. Yeah, I pretty much stopped distro hopping. I'll web browser hop, sort of, because it's less work and less challenging, as it were. But yeah, once I reach a certain level of where I'm comfortable with, I'll still test distros, but I won't do distro hop full installs, production machines. I think even DT is starting to get burned out.
Yeah, it can happen if you make
rather early, because I got burned out years late. He's getting burned out months later.
Yeah, that's why I kind of switched to do more practical and less theoretical stuff. It's because it has more meaning. It brings more value to your life, and that's one of the ways Linux changed my life. I don't know if we're ready to jump into the topic yet.
I think we can. Clive says your internet doesn't allow you to distro hop. Oh, okay.
How does your internet block you?
Because maybe it takes too long to download. It takes too long to download a 2 gig file or more. Yeah. Viewers are jumping back and forth between the two streams. Well, it's twice the fun.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. You can just run them both up. We both get credit and mute one of them. Or listen to it in stereo.
Why not? Heather, it's 97 over the... Heather, where are you again? It's 97 here. It's 72. Where are you? Are you in Florida, Heather? Jeez, that's the only place I could tell. Or maybe Palm Springs, California.
Yeah, it's 75 here, but I think we have like
72.
80, with 88% humidity. That's what kills you.
You're in Oregon. Oh, Heather. Okay.
Lived in a desert, and it didn't matter if it got 100 degrees. It was so dry, it didn't matter.
Wow. It's even hot there. Okay. Steve Zorion says, hopping too much. If I didn't work 50 hours a week, 50 plus a week, I may do it.
Yeah. Mr. GFY says, OS Disk sells distro CDs for $5. So not very practical if you're testing various distros, but definitely if you can't
it's fair for $5.
Yeah, that's a good deal. Peppermint, I think, has some CDs you can buy, or like USB drives you can buy from them.
That's one way to support the developers. If you want to do that, or go to their Patreon page or whatever. Linux Smith has a lot of sponsors, and they deserve it. Great distribution, all of them. Well, I don't know about Debian. I don't really mess with Debian anymore. But XFC, Mate, Cinnamon, I've tested all. They're all solid.
Yeah, well, I get Debian on the computer behind me here, and I
Yeah.
gotta say, I really want to wipe it out and put something else on here, but man, it's just so stable.
Well, leave it. Once you get
But
settled, if it ain't broken,
well,
don't fix it.
well, the thing
Right?
is that I like to use that computer to bounce back
Okay.
and forth.
Okay. All right.
So,
Tux 1313, 93 in Central California was one. Yeah, I've been in there in the summer. I've been to San Bernardino and Palm Springs in the summer. My God. It was
I
even hot for me. Yeah.
I camped through Death Valley in the summer once. Sounds exciting.
There's a reason why they call it that, which
Yes.
yeah, I've driven through it at a high rate of speed.
Well, it was funny. We weren't the crazy ones, though. We're
Mm.
going in there, and we passed some bikers going down the
Mm.
mountain ridge there.
Mhm.
Well, they ended up stopping in our campground. They were biking through Death Valley in June. Like, we were just driving through in an air-conditioned car, man, stopping and seeing some sights. They were biking through it.
There's tough, and then there's just crazy.
Insanity? I mean,
Insanity,
I
yeah.
think that's insanity. Apparently, YouTube chat is still messed up. Saddlebridge cannot see some of the
Oh.
comments. Oh, Lord. YouTube is so messed up. Maybe we could talk about YouTube's latest fun
Maybe.
thing.
Maybe. Okay.
And I don't
Heather,
know. We
yeah.
might get banned. Uh-oh, my internet's jumping back and forth. It's doing weird stuff.
Heather has, I guess it's for me, a question. Okay, thought I wanted to ask you something. When I lived in New York, did you ever go to the big New Year's Eve party in Times Square? I don't recall ever going as a kid. I think because my parents or my dad probably didn't feel too safe even back then in the 70s. But I don't recall. Honestly, I didn't ask. We had our own party on the streets with my gang, as it were. But no, Heather, I did not, and I really didn't miss that. Yeah, didn't
Give me a
miss that.
second. My internet's jumping back and forth.
Okay.
It's doing weird stuff. So I'm going to pull up my monitor to make sure my
Okay.
internet's not. doing
81 in
weird stuff.
Chicagoland, very good. Madhouse Jack says the only reason why you don't use Arco on it is because you spent 2 hours trying to get MB to work. Pain in the butt. Okay. Yeah, I pretty much stopped distro hopping when Ubuntu 16.04 came out with Unity. Had it on 2 machines. It was so solid. That's when I at least started cutting back tremendously. But right now I'll distro test hop maybe, but I won't full install. It's just not worth it. At least not for me. Hi Tim.
Hey guys, how are
Hey,
you doing
Tim, how's
tonight?
it going?
Welcome. Tim is a long time, Tim, you are only using Linux now, right? It's just your wife that has Windows also, or
100% Linux in our
okay,
house.
awesome. See a family Linux here.
100%.
Nice. Welcome. Nice. Okay. Yeah, we'll get started on the topic here soon. How has Linux affected your life, Tim?
Okay, cool.
So we'll
Thanks.
just we have viewers coming in, so we'll get settled in here, and we have people in the chat, dual streaming here, myself and Tom. So once again, please check out the links below in the show notes. SwitchToLinux.com. I believe that website has everything to all your links to Patreon, Amazon, your channel.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
SwitchToLinux.com/support has everything in.
There. Okay. Good.
Give me 1 second. I'm just trying to find my
Yeah.
interfaces. There we are.
Mhm.
Okay, we're not losing anything. I don't know, for whatever reason, my router just kind of dropped off. I saw it in there, but it's
Okay.
not showing me any losses.
Okay.
Hopefully, we don't have any issues. If I disappear,
Okay. Well, you
Just
look
show-
at on my end, all of it. I mean, I look the best with the new shirt, but putting that aside.
yeah.
I have to drop off for just a moment. I
Okay.
will be back in just a couple of minutes.
Okay, go ahead. Then we will wait for Tim. Go.
Thank
All
you.
right. So
No
I got
problem.
a couple more comments on my end.
Go ahead, yeah.
Let's see. Totally different DE. Let's see. So talking about Manjaro Jade. Linux Mint 19, Ubuntu 18 is the first version of Linux since GNOME 2 that is working like a dream. Very good. That's James. JJ Games. Sup, yo. Sup, dude. My algebra calculus professor used to go on the board. Sup, dude.
Ah,
Very interesting fella.
did not have that in the 70s. There was none of that kind of, yeah. See, when I moved from New York to Ohio, Dean Martin Country, I think I mentioned this before, but people would ask me, where are you from? You talk funny. I'm like, no, you talk funny. What are you talking about? So I was the what's up, star, but
Yeah.
Is Tim going to put on? Tim going to put a brighter shirt to rival Tim or Tom? Terry to rival. It isn't a shirt contest. I bought new shirts at J.C. Penney.
Oh.
Thank you. They had them in stock for Tall Man,
Mine-
and I bought. Yeah.
Mine's a switch to Linux. So.
Yeah. Well, his is the official. I should buy one of my own shirts, but I just have so many stinking. Maybe I should buy one. I was thinking of buying the one that says Windows broken, fixed with Linux. It's kind of cool, but
Yeah, I got to come up with some more T-shirt ideas. You guys tell me in the chats
Yeah.
what type of T-shirt ideas should I come up with. I'll put some more on. Yeah.
yeah, I'm hoping to attract more females. That's why I wore pink for.
Oh,
tonight.
okay. There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, look,
and you got the pink shirt too, right? I know. I got the pink shirt. Yeah.
Yeah, pink. Yeah.
Um.
I have another pink shirt that's 10 years old. It still fits. Proud of myself, keeping my weight down.
People like you guys help me greatly figure out how to use Linux. Most appreciated. Well, you are very welcome, James, and that is exactly why we are here. We are the underpaid Linux spokesman.
severely
Emphasis
underpaid.
on underpaid.
I know. I got an email from someone, and I won't mention his name, very kind, very, very, very sweet gentleman, and he said to me, he said, Toss, why don't you send up a funding site to donate for a new PC? And I said, well, thank you, but I think I'll just stick with Patreon and PayPal for. I don't want to make it all about give here, give here. It's I don't want to do that. But the point I want to get, the community has been very nice, probably to both of us, and I know that they are trying to help, and we say thank you.
Yeah.
Cheerleaders for Linux. Okay.
I did see an ad today for click here to fix Windows 10. I really wanted to click it from within Debian,
Wow.
but I decided not to.
That would have been interesting. Okay.
Every OS sucks. Linux just sucks less. Quote by Linus Torvalds. Thank you, CS Reindeer.
Okay.
Wow, that's awesome.
If we have any cheerleaders in the house for Linux, I'm all eyes and ears.
Yeah, absolutely. You want to jump onto the topic there?
All right, for tonight, how has Linux affected your life? Well, obviously, if it wasn't for Linux, especially Ubuntu, I would not be here. Started in 06, purely out of curiosity. Saw something in the magazine, are you tired of Windows XP? Back then it was XP. And I don't know if I was tired of it, but I figured, what? I like to have choices. Don't we all? Like when you go to a restaurant, like if the menu is one item, is that fun? No, if you're shopping for cars, if it's only one. So I thought, I want to try something else. It was Ubuntu version 6 or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I was impressed by its speed, even then, but it wasn't ready for newbies or prime time. So I distro hopped, tested, blah, blah, blah. And it wasn't until really 08 or 09 with the release of Linux Mint, which was and is newbie friendly, that I got even more involved with Linux. Started affecting me more in my mind, thinking, what? It's nice to have choices. I don't like to be stuck in one thing where one OS controls my life. And of course, from Linux Mint, I went to Zorin for a while. Was and is still user friendly, although I prefer the light version. But it's brought me here ultimately, and I did a private video 3-4 days ago for all the supporters as a thank you. I will make that public, but I said something on there I will divulge it now since we're talking about it. Linux has affected my life not so much as a hardware or software, but in terms of community. We often talk about the year of the Linux desktop. For me, it's this year. This is the year of the Linux desktop for TOS today, not in terms of hardware, but in terms of community. These live streams are completely enjoyable. There's nothing else I'd rather be doing. And if I can do it full time one day, great. If not, then so be it. But there's nothing else I would rather be doing than connecting with community, with human beings, not bots, but with human beings. And there's nothing more satisfying than people saying, Toss, thank you. It was because of you I tried this, or you helped me out or you gave me a suggestion. I was able to fix this. There's nothing more personally satisfying than the common good of humanity. So for me, the year of the Linux desktop isn't so much about hardware than it is about community. And that's what that private chat was about to all these supporters. And I'll release that in full this week. But how has Linux affected my life? Simple. If it wasn't for Linux, for Ubuntu, I would not be here. So for me, it's been good. Tom?
Yeah, well, for me, of course, I'm actually pretty much exclusively in the Windows ecosystem for most of my time from, doing a lot of different computery things. Of course, I was a professor for a while, so, and not in computer science. So Windows and computers themselves are a tool for me. And when I saw what Windows was doing, it started with Windows 8.1, where they started integrating what was then SkyDrive into baked in, and you couldn't remove it. That was annoying to me. I was like, I don't like this. And then with Windows 10, it's just you will do what we want you to, period. And for me, that was kind of a no-go. And so what I decided at that point in time is I had tinkered around with Ubuntu back in, I think, version 11 maybe. And so I'm like, you know what? Let's go back to that and look at what that is. And Ubuntu, the only major criticism I had with Ubuntu is it doesn't jive with my basic workflow. And so I started experimenting with other things and found Linux Mint Cinnamon, which is exactly what my workflow is. But that was just a start. That wasn't like, hey, I found a new operating system. Because since I've learned how to use Linux, I now have a NAS system to communicate all of my computers running on Linux, Debian, Open Media Vault. I run all of my media entertainment through a Raspberry Pi running Linux on Open Source Media Center, which runs Kodi. You can run gaming emulators. I run an entire custom built router, it's FreeBSD, but it's, pretty close. But I wouldn't have done that without knowledge of Linux. There's a lot of similar commands, not to mention the various computers, and then learning how to do a lot different things, a lot of different technologies, different stuff you learn. And so for me, that's what it was. But then it's, again, just a start moving into there, teaching people how to do this kind of stuff, because I've always been a teacher at heart. And now what can you do for, more teaching with this? And that's when you start to meet new people. So I met the book editor who edits my books now through this. I met some other people just the other night that are viewers, and it was great. And it made me wonder, maybe this is a subtopic we can cover after Tim talks, but we talk about turning things off and having real community, but the reality is, if you do this right, this turns into real community. And I think I want to stop there for now, because I think we can maybe do that as a subtopic in a few minutes.
Okay. All right, Tim.
But that's kind of where I started. So Tim, go ahead. What's changed your life?
Well, for me, kind of what got me into the Linux sphere, as we could call it, I had a little netbook that I was using while I was at work, and I was self-employed at the time. And this little netbook was a little HP netbook, and the dang thing had like Windows something starter on it. This is stripped down Windows. And I wanted something that was a little bit quicker, but I did not like Windows. And I had heard about Linux prior to that, so I thought, I'm going to start looking at Linux. And I found Linux or Ubuntu, and I thought, what the heck, I'm going to grab it. So downloaded it, got it onto a USB thumb drive, and installed it on my netbook, and loved it right from the get-go. About the only pain in the rear end I had was getting the wireless drivers working. After I got those working, you know what? It was the cat's meow. I loved it. It was quick. It did everything that I needed it to do. I did miss a little bit of functionality from the old Microsoft Office days, my corporate life. But as I used LibreOffice more and more, or actually it wasn't LibreOffice then, it was, refresh my memory.
OpenOffice.
OpenOffice, that's it. As I used that and as OpenOffice got better and better, I found, I don't need to have Windows on anything. So I transitioned all the way over to Linux. Not only did my netbook have Linux, but my main computer, my desktop that I had at the time, I put, boy, I can't even remember what I put on it. I think I broke Lord knows how many distributions right off the bat trying to install it. But I settled on Linux Mint on that desktop. So I ran Linux Mint on a desktop. I ran Ubuntu, bone stock Ubuntu with what was, I believe, the GNOME interface, GNOME 2 interface, and just loved it. And I've stuck with it ever since. There really isn't a reason for me to be on Windows. My corporate life is over. I'm not in the corporate world any longer. And Linux just does what I want it to, and it does it a heck of a lot quicker than anything else that's out there. But coming back kind of around to what you guys have said, what really has kept me here is the community. It's about the people that I can jump onto a forum and I can read through it, and maybe I've got a little bit of expertise that I can throw out there into the world that might make somebody's life a little bit easier for that minute of that day. And God knows I've had people do that to me over the years too. But it's made my life a lot easier in a computing sense, in it that I know, even though I don't have anything that's really time sensitive or anything like that, I know I can just get on my computer, turn it on, it's going to run. I'm not going to have to take a half a day because of updates. And it's cool all the way around. There's just so many cool aspects of the OS, the community, the people that I've met, including the two of you and many others. You can't beat it.
Yeah, it's with over 2,000 videos for myself, and I still can't believe it, but obviously many comments, good and bad, from my channel. But the one comment that will stay with me probably forever, I think it was on Ubuntu, I can't remember what it was, but the comment was, "God bless you, this was exactly what I was looking for." What a comment. I don't know who said it or exactly what was it. It was probably a tutorial how to fix something or do something. To me, it didn't seem like a big deal. But if somebody's a newbie and struggling, I can see where it would be a big deal. But it's comments like that that's kept this channel going. But I will say this, back in 2015, when I didn't do much that summer, AdSense revenue dropped off, and I was thinking, do I want to do this? Not worth it anymore. But it was the people, the humanity, that pulled me back in, and there's nothing like it. There's nothing like connecting with people, sharing a joke, sharing a story, sharing a fix, just sharing life. And that's what, for me, that's how Linux has affected my life. It isn't just about the hardware or software. And if we could truly have a Linux desktop where a company can get together with whoever, then a lot more people in the States or in the world, maybe their lives could be positively affected also, in the fact that they have choices, But until that day happens, there's us who are promoting it and welcoming everyone to the community that is Linux. For me, the Linux community has been positive. I know at times for newbies they haven't been treated well, a toxic environment. I understand. That hasn't happened to me. Of course, I haven't been to many forums either. I go to specific forums. But for newbies who have been to forums and have not been treated with respect, my channel has almost been like a form of a sanctuary city. And for these newbies who, I'm just going to talk to Toss because he seems to know where I'm coming from, and I do have, and I still do, because I still use Windows. Nobody taught me. Back 10 years ago, back in 06, And even 2010, there was no switch to Linux to ask for help. I mean, there wasn't other people that I could connect with that helped me. I learned on my own. It wasn't really till I started connecting with Infinite Galactic and then Spatry and some others that I could ask a question and not be treated like a fool. And I think that's what not just Windows users, but I think that's what humans want. If I ask a question and it may seem stupid, okay, you can crack a joke, but don't rub it in, I guess is the way to, But for me, it's all about community. If it wasn't for the community, I wouldn't be here. It's not for the money. So,
From my aspect, one
Yeah.
of the when I was running Windows and when I was a company owner, I had a guy that worked for me who took care of all of our technical stuff.
Yeah.
And every so often, he had to go on vacation, and every so often he wouldn't know an answer to something, and we would go out on these forums, and we were Windows users. Corporately, we were Windows users. And the one thing to me, in mentioning about going to forums, when I would go to some of the Windows forums, it almost seemed like me asking a question was an inconvenience to some folks. And in some way or another, and maybe the use of the word dignity is wrong, but it almost was like you asked a question and it kind of, people looked at you and they wanted to take your dignity away to a degree. What type of an idiot are you? Why are you wasting our time with a question like this? And stuff like that. And with Ubuntu, I did run into some people on some forums that were less desirable than others. Don't get me wrong, because the world is that type of a place. But I hooked up with some people on the Ubuntu forums, and what Linux meant, it was wonderful. That was a safe haven as far as a forum was concerned. It took all of that away. So as a user, and that's essentially what I am nowadays, I'm still just a user. I'm not a YouTuber. I'm not a technical person like Tom is or anything. If I have a question, I can get an answer without feeling like I'm the world's biggest fool for even asking it, even if it's been asked 1,000 times over in many different ways.
Yeah. And I think, unfortunately, some Linux communities do have the reputation of not being good. Now, I find that the Apple, Windows, and Linux communities all kind of have different ways of handling things inappropriately in their own way. Like Windows, like you said, is very much, de-dignifying. Apple's pretty much, why would you want to do that? In Linux, you either get a good solution or you get somebody calling you a noob. And that's something we need to deal with, and in an appropriate way say, hey, that's probably not the appropriate way to handle something. If you can't solve the solution or you can't offer good, friendly, unbiased, uncrazy advice, just don't say something. But I see that kind of stuff all the time. I see my fuzzy snake is back. So
For me, any type of a Linux forum is always, when I've gone on and I've said, hey, I'm a long-time Linux user, but I'm getting further into the technical side of it. Sorry for asking this. Couldn't find an answer. Can you help me out? And get to my question. People are tickled pink. In most cases and not, people are tickled pink that you're on their forum, you're asking them a question about their distribution or the distribution that the community is working with, and they're just happy that you're there. For the most part, they're very glad that there's another one of them out there on the planet, and I find that really cool. I find it really refreshing.
yeah,
I've been to the Ubuntu Mate forums lately, had a couple questions, and not a problem. None whatsoever. If you are nice to them, chances are someone will be nice back. Someone,
It's the ones that aren't always nice are the best.
Right. So, that's, I haven't, like I said, I have not been to a lot of forums, but the forums, so I can only speak for the forums I have been to. They've been nice, but really the most demeaning comments for the channel when, if they were directed at me, Well, I was still in the learning process. Okay, but when they were directed at other users, that's where I drew the line, and I would just delete them or remove them, those people. You know. But I understand people can be passionate about only to use Windows, Linux, or Mac, or whatever. I get it. You can still be passionate and choose what you want to choose, but not at the expense of someone else's humanity. You cross the line, no matter what you use,
Let's look at some comments regarding
I haven't taken a peek.
I have a few, and so right now, so I can cut it out a little easier later. As well, I'm going to focus on the comments specifically dealing with how our listeners right now hasn't made it easy. And I know Anna Rita's dropped in a few here, so I'm going to
go ahead.
Some of these. And if you see some, go ahead and jump in with yours, as I'm going to scan my comment feed form as well. So Anna Rita says, Linux has changed my life, saving me money and my hair as well. I know you guys, you don't have hair to save, but
I got some left.
JD Games.
I just cut mine today.
Android. Okay.
Tim used the KDE shaver.
Do not forget about no activation or product keys. Which was it you was talking with the other day, or somebody on your channel at least I was talking with the other day that said some of the Windows updates in the latest Windows 10 update was deactivating Windows licenses.
That was mentioned by, it wasn't me, somebody mentioned that.
I thought it was on your
okay.
I think Joel Panico had mentioned it.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
I saw another one here. You can install software without piggybacking bloatware. Huge problem on Windows. Download some application, it invariably throws some potentially unwanted program that you didn't ask for right along with it.
Tuck says, Linux gave me the freedom to use the desktop the way I wanted and not the way some company thinks I should.
Absolutely. Linux makes the installation process less than 30 minutes and no reboots needed.
Heather is addicted to Linux and these live shows. Well, I have a patch here for you, Heather, somewhere, if you really... No, just kidding, but... Peppermint's forums, great, according to Steve. Okay.
I mean, I have a second person here. Of course, Joe Johnson, I think, does not like Manjaro because of his experience on the Manjaro forums. And actually, I have somebody else on here who said the same. Just looking for the comment. So this guy Nick says about the forums. We were talking about those. You guys talk about the Arch forums because, man, I stayed away from Manjaro because of it. Can't ask a question without getting blasted as an idiot or a noob, and that's wrong.
Yeah.
So it makes you wonder, why is Manjaro jumping so high on DistroWatch? It makes me wonder if somebody's deploying a bot to cause that.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah.
That's the reason I will not use Manjaro.
Yeah.
To be quite frank.
I mean, we're just speculating. We're not saying it is, but it seems...
Yeah. My experience using it was good, but I'm not a guy who hangs on forums either, and I generally don't ask questions on forums. And so for me, I'll figure it out. And if I can't figure it out, I'll move to something that works.
Saint Raphael says, are we live? No, we're all zombies.
Yeah.
We're live. Oopsie.
Maybe we should change it to undead in Linux. We should do a Halloween one someday. We'll all dress as zombies.
I mentioned this Undead in Linux. I mentioned this a month ago. There should be a weekly show based on Linux. I'm not sure what the plot would be exactly, or it could be something dumb like Zombies versus Linux or something. It makes about as much sense of what's coming out of Hollywood nowadays, but a Linux weekly comedy show. I don't know what to call it. Lenny loves Linux or something. I don't know. Heather says, thanks to Awesome Friends for all you do for Linux. Thank you, Heather.
Lamarck says Manjaro community is so nice, at least the official forums.
Cool.
Okay. I don't know. What's now, Tim, you've experienced the Manjaro community? What's up with that?
Well, in my particular case, and this is not in no way is the rule of the world. I've, of course, starting on Ubuntu, I got up to speed as best as I could with Deb-based systems right off the bat, Deb-based distributions. And I tried Manjaro. It's probably about 2000. I've been on Linux full-time since 2010. 2013, 2014, I saw Manjaro kind of gaining some steam, and I thought, it'd be kind of neat to run an Arch-based thing, because everybody's kind of like, ooh, it's the whole Arch stratosphere type of thing. So I downloaded it, put it on my machine. I ran into problems with, the usual stuff, multimedia codecs, getting DVDs to play, and a couple of other little, goofy things, inconsequential. The OS was good. Don't get me wrong. The OS was really good. Once I got the problems worked out, it was a good OS. But I asked a couple of questions, and in particular, somebody had answered me back on the forum, given me a couple of commands to run. They had mistyped the command. And I tried to run the command, and I went back to the forum and said, hey, this thing's, it's puking out on me. It's not doing it. And this person kind of roasted me, just kind of, tore me a new right foot. And it's like, okay, that's enough. That's enough of this. I uninstalled it, and at the time I had been running Ubuntu GNOME. I grabbed my jump stick and threw Ubuntu GNOME back on. And I was done with my Manjaro, and I've looked at it in virtual machines since, but I have not installed it on hardware.
Okay.
But again, I do not want to taint Manjaro. I do not want to taint or offend anybody that's using it. It's a really good distribution. It just did not work out for me.
Right. Walker89 says Linux saved your life. Like, okay, come on, tell us how. You got to tell us how it saved your life.
She's using one of those Linux. It was a Windows-powered insulin pump thing, and it rebooted and almost killed her. So she changed it over to a Linux-powered insulin pump. But it had an uptime so far of like 650 days without turning off. So,
Sounds reasonable to me. He had been infected by Windows viruses. Linux was the antidote. I got to be, look, in Windows 10, putting the privacy aside, it is secure, in my opinion. Is it private? Heck no. But Manjaro KDE rocks. Okay, Chip. Linux is nothing like Minix. Huh?
Minix?
Minix.
You talking about? Minix?
That's
Minix is the sub operating system that runs inside of some of your processors.
okay. Got it.
It's the one that's causing a big stink right now.
I thought it was a city in Germany, but that's Munich. Never mind. Linux Convergence would be a good name for a show. Sci-fi show? Yeah, how bad was the virus infection? I mean, I don't get viruses in Windows 10. With a legitimate copy of Windows 10, not, You ran, saying Raphael ran ClampTK on the system folder, came up with 87 pups and 1 Trojan. Really? Oh. In Linux? Really?
Yeah, Benjamin says the other, I got a few snobbish remarks, but eventually someone who doesn't live in their parents' basement trashing noobs saw my post and they helped. Amen to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Benjamin. Greetings, Benjamin. How are you?
You just got a notification, AJ Disciple. It's those Manjaro
we're talking
bots.
about using legitimate copies of Windows. All your copies of Linux are legitimate. So, I mean, unless of course you've downloaded it from some weird seedy place. But to verify your ISOs, people, verify your ISOs.
MD5 all the time.
Linux
It's easy.
More efficient than Windows because it requires less memory and space to run. Best thing is I don't have to do a lot of maintenance on the Linux operating system. See, because you don't use Arch. No. Yeah, I rip on Arch, but it's actually pretty good. So.
No, it's wonderful for power users. Not for newbies. It just isn't. Hello, Francisco Santos. Welcome.
The amount of time that I was on Manjaro, and when I've ran it in virtual machines, it's pretty rock solid. It's not a bad looking distribution. I was kind of intrigued when they came out with all the community spins. They have Deepin and a whole host, Cinnamon, a whole host of other desktop environments. And I was kind of happy to see. I'm a GNOME guy typically, and I see that now GNOME is one of the official flavors of Manjaro, and I was tempted, but it's kind of like that. If I go to a restaurant and I order a steak, well done, and they bring it to me rare. Actually, it'd be the other way around. I probably wouldn't go back to that restaurant anytime soon. So,
yeah,
that taste in your mouth, and it's like, yeah, good. I'm glad you guys are doing good. God bless you. Keep doing what you're doing.
Right.
As many users as you can, because ultimately a Linux user is a Linux user is a Linux user. But yeah, I haven't gone back to them.
Blacked Up Gaming says if we had more hackers trying to helping us with Linux and not trying to destroy the rest of the world, we have better help on these issues.
Okay.
Okay, here's a conversation point. Nick says, I agree. Linux is really not for the layman. No matter how much we bash Windows 10, it's still far easier to use and install than any distro. Don't stun me, just how it is. I disagree, honestly, Nick. And the reason is you use the word install. If you've tried to install Windows on a computer, you are jumping all through hoops to find drivers. You have to set everything up. It's one thing if you go to the store and you buy a computer and you install it. But when you go to install Linux, it installs unless you're using something odd and out of the way. And the reality is, even getting applications to work, you might be more used to Windows, how to install an application, how to make something work. But just because you're used to it doesn't mean it's easier. If you get the time to become also used to Linux, it is actually objectively easier. The installation is a lot easier. You don't have to fight with drivers for the most part. There's a few instances where you do. Installing software is a lot easier and a lot safer, just all around. The only thing is, as somebody else had said earlier in my comment feed, is that it's surprising how few people know it exists. And the few that do know it exists, they sit there and they say, well, it's all about terminals and things like that anyway, so it's kind of pointless. And there's a lot in there you can talk about.
It might be about terminals to fix it. You might have. And look, if we're talking about going to a store and buying a Windows machine off the rack, well, of course that's what you're paying for. It's going to work. It's going to work, So then that is better in the long run, sure. But you're right. If you're going to download, install something, Linux should be better. It's just a shame that we're still stuck at that 2-3% usage, if that's even accurate.
Yeah,
it's not a lot.
Yeah.
Because once again, mom and pop cannot walk into a store and do a touchy-feely look at something.
I can say from experience, I helped some friends of the family. They have a small office. They had a couple of Windows machines they replaced. They bought new Windows machines, Windows 10. And I can say without any reservation that just starting up Windows 10 for the first time and going through all of the process of getting a user account set up and then having to pull its updates, for a brand new machine, it's inevitably going to pull updates. That was a 50-minute to a little bit over an hour process. One machine was a little bit quicker than the other for whatever reason. I can install Linux. I can pull my apps either out of the Software Center or off of the web via deb packages, and I can have them installed, and I can be up and running and have my cloud synced my machine generally within about 45 to 50 minutes.
Yeah.
Period.
Now the reality is Windows 10, if you're doing everything in the Windows 10 ecosystem like they want you to, which I don't recommend people do, you can now do the same thing because they want you to put everything in the cloud.
Mhm.
But it's still quite a bit different, honestly. I don't know.
Yep.
Francisco says Linux is going to grow 1,000 times faster when they bring full gaming support. Yes and no. And here's why. Gaming is important. But most mom and pop houses probably don't care about gaming. They just want it to work out of the box with no bugs. So gaming is important, but that's not the big chunk. The big chunk will be what company will take whatever distro, ABC Linux, standardize it. I know it's kind of funny. You're going to standardize Linux, but how else will it work? Put it in a store, a Best Buy, a Walmart, Sears, if there's any Sears stores left after this conversation. But mom and pop with their kids can walk in, take it home. It can't be expensive because then they're just going to go buy Windows or a Mac. Take it home, ABC Linux, and yes, it works out of the box. And then how will Linux affect their lives? Probably the way it affected mine. Wow, this doesn't take 4 hours to do an updates.
Yeah.
There's almost no viruses, and I stress almost.
My mother's Windows 10 computer is once again completely useless. I mean, it gets completely useless after 6 months of use, and I'm like, okay, so I'm gonna have to go up there and do something with it. So
Yeah.
I might just go up there and do an experiment, build her an install on a thumb drive,
Mm-hmm.
and just boot that in. And if the
Yeah.
thumb drive goes bad, I might just mail her a new one.
There you go.
And I want to try that because, frankly, I think I can run now with her
Yeah.
setup. I think her computer's lower specs.
Mhm.
I'd run like
Yeah.
Peppermint on it or something. But
Yeah.
man, I bet that'd work way better.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah, I mean, Windows 10 does work. The update process is atrocious, but putting that aside, does it work? If it didn't work, I wouldn't even keep it as a backup.
Well-
I just wouldn't, because it ain't worth it, but it does work.
Well, maybe. That's what I'm saying. My mother's computer doesn't work. It's Windows 10. Why is her Windows 10 computer not working? I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
She's not exactly tech savvy, but at
Yeah,
the
yeah.
same
Without
time,
knowing it, could, right? Yeah.
I bet that I could hook her up with Peppermint, say, let this install thing do its thing, and in 6 months down the line, I bet her computer would still be working exactly the same.
Mm-hmm.
Windows, not the case.
If you don't do those mandatory Tuesday patches, updates, rebooting,
Well,
you're right.
she is, because it's Windows 10.
Yeah.
It has to be doing the updates. It's just for whatever reason, and I don't know why, the
I don't
computer
know.
doesn't
Yeah.
work right now.
Yeah.
So she is
You know-
doing everything. She's doing all the
Yeah.
updates. But all she does is gets on the internet. She gets on, I think, Facebook and stuff like that, barely, and that's
Well,
about it.
Frostbite says Ubuntu works out of the box, just works, no questions. Does it work out of the box? For some, yes. For some, no. But to say that any Linux distro, I'm
Yeah.
not saying you're buying one off of Systems or Dell that it works with no questions. That's impossible, in my opinion.
Yeah, I
It just
think
is,
that
yeah.
I think that you have the right trick, though. You need to get a company that invests in a lower spec machine, like a netbook, or even have a range, a netbook, a mid range, a higher range, and then pick a Linux distro that works best with that hardware. Get that installed and push that out to stores. When mom and pop can go into any local Walmart, Best Buy, Target, whatever, buy a computer, bring it home, and it's Linux, and it's cheaper because it's not having a Windows license, and it still does everything that your basic user needs. That's what's going to launch Windows.
Now, David says Linux is only a geek's OS. Well, until it gets standardized to put in stores, it's probably true. He says all the friends and relatives do not want to use Linux. That's understandable.
I don't think you have to standardize it, though. It's just a company has to pick. A company has to internally standardize its own distro. It's like
that's what I mean. Just pick one
76.
distro, standardize that
76.
one. Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I
Like
mean. Just pick the
Pop
one
OS.
distro.
But-
Yeah.
That's essentially what System 76 has done, though, guys. I mean, you don't get me wrong. I'm running Pop OS right now, and I love it.
Okay.
It works. Out of all the 18.04 base stuff, this works on this particular hardware. It runs like a champ, no problems, no issues. But System 76, they within reason, they kind of standardized their own spin of Ubuntu. I mean, they took Ubuntu 18.04, stripped a bunch of stuff out of it, changed the installation, and changed the installer, and they have a really good standardized piece.
Yeah.
The thing is they don't have the lower priced hardware. If they could take and put Pop! OS on a 4 gig 4 gig RAM, 500 gigabyte hard drive,
Yeah.
$299 laptop. Oh my Lord! How quick would they ship those?
Well, $400 seems to be, or less, seems to be the sweet spot, but it cannot be web only order, because they need to have mom and dad, whatever, walk into the store with their kids to touch it, test it. It cannot be web-based, because when it's web-based only, now you're into a select few market strategy. And that works for some. For System 76, it's been successful, great. But for the masses, not me or Switch, but they have to be able to walk into a store, touch it, feel it. Oh, it does. Oh, I can go on the web. Oh, I can do this. Then they'll take it home and try it. If it's web only, because they're thinking, gee, if it doesn't work, now I have to ship it back, blah, blah, blah. It's not user-friendly in that sense. It's got to be in stores. And you're right, Dave. Yeah, $300, $400 tops is the sweet spot. It's got to be priced comparably less than a comparable Windows machine, same specs. Because now that is the incentive to Mr. and Mrs. Customer. And you can say, hey, it's less because of this. It's open source. You got 30 days to try it out. No restocking fee, none of that crap.
Yep.
Okay? You try it. If you don't like it, come back. Not a problem. That's the only way to truly gauge if Linux will work on a mass scale. So.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of distros that would work just fine.
Yeah.
You just got to get the right system, the other system.
Whatever system that is. I think personally, I think it should be something with an old classic GNOME 2 look like Mate or XFC. Something that's click and go simple. No tweaking, no tweak tool. No. Just click and go. Start there.
CS Reindeer says most people want Linux. It's just their job stops them. Non-technical and technical alike. Their words, not mine. My dad drools over my system, but he needs Windows for remote desktop for his work. And that's a reality that I find a lot. Like, I'm in the final stages of getting a book formatted, and I'm doing it all in LibreOffice. There's some things that do make Microsoft Office does a little easier. Not so much easier that I want to abandon free software for simplicity, but the big thing now is that most of your publishers, most of your groups you would send a book to for publishing are like, we need a docx file. It's like, why don't you support an open software instead? But that's the unfortunate thing, as I think somebody else had mentioned in there that that's Peter Jensen says in the very next comment, the big problem for Linux is that too much software doesn't run on Linux because Microsoft pushes its proprietary APIs and middleware to developers. And that's the reality.
Though, from this regular user's perspective, with Microsoft Office or Office 365 rather, if you have a web browser, you can run what I would consider, in my experience, work applications. In fact, I think a couple of the distributions out there, I think Manjaro, possibly Peppermint, Peppermint 9, they have shortcuts in the menu to brings you right to Word.
No, actually, that's always been Peppermint's strategy. They started as a Chromebook alternative, Linux Chromebook alternative. They've always had the ICE applications. That was their core feature.
Yep.
Tim, your mic volume is slightly lower now. I don't know if it's just me or, just check it real quick.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. I mean, I can hear you clear, just a little
Brown,
low. Yeah.
Toss, you might be able to talk about this one better. He has to disagree with me a little bit on the Windows install. Windows 10 built-in drivers have improved greatly. I built an AMD system with Ryzen 3, and it identified everything, even GTX 950. So, is it identifying drivers better now out of the box?
I haven't built the machine, so I don't know.
I mean,
That's a good question.
I can say there are a couple machines recently that I had to rebuild and reinstall Windows 4. No go. They needed special driver utilities that I just couldn't get. We ended up having to ship the things back to factory because they just weren't possible. They were more specialized things, but I mean, so I don't know. I just don't know. So that's what he says. If you guys do know for sure, let me know. That'd be
if I was running into that issue, what I would have done before I started buying the pieces for machine, I would check beforehand from the vendor's website. Are there drivers for those pieces that I need first before I started buying? If it was me, and I suppose I would do that for Linux too to be safe, you know. But that's what I would have done. Check before you spend the money just to be sure. And probably 9 times out of 10 it's going to work, you know. But nothing's perfect. But if I was going to do it, like if I was going to build a machine, I probably won't. I'll just keep it simple and buy something with everything I need, or maybe a refurb when I'm ready. Want to make sure before, and that's another advantage of buying thing solid. It already has the OS, so you know it's going to work. So you save yourself some headache. Now, is that worth an extra $100 to me? Yeah, it just is. But in your situation or in his situation, I would probably have checked beforehand. But I got a feeling you should be able to find drivers and software somewhere. I would imagine if it's a major company that you bought it from, like an AMD. Speculating. Yeah.
I was kind of surprised. The Windows 10 machines I helped set up here a couple of weeks ago. Is my volume better, Toss?
Slightly. It is a little better, yeah.
Okay. I was kind of surprised in that when I took these things out of the box, I thought, you know what, just for giggles, I want to try this. So I went to System76 website. I downloaded the NVIDIA version of Pop! OS because these machines had NVIDIA, I think 1060 or 1070 cards, and plugged the USB in, booted from that right away just to see if it would work, and everything worked in the live environment. Bluetooth, the whole 9 yards. And it was really cool. But then unfortunately I had to pull the USB stick out and start it and get Windows 10 set up.
Okay.
Yeah. Anna Rita, my real answer to how Linux has changed my life is that it has given me privacy and security and stability for free.
Okay.
Brennan Brown will use Windows for some games, but now using Budgie 1804 and Linux Mint 18.3 XFCE on my laptop.
David has a good point. He says people who buy Windows or Mac do not want to waste time customizing the desktop or using the terminal. Fair. That's why if there is going to be a national Linux distro, you need to pretty much eliminate that or cut it down to where you may have to use it 1% of the time.
Well, I think that's why I like Cinnamon, is because you can customize the desktop, but you don't have to. I'd rather have the option there, and I think anybody would rather have the option there than not have the option.
It's there if you
all.
want to, you know, and that's why I like Ubuntu Mate, because I can customize 7 panels just out of the box.
I think the only one you can't customize out of the box is, sorry, Tim.
Yeah, you're right, but
not that Tim really cares.
For me, from a user's perspective, I have my 2 go-to extensions. I have put the icons on the panel, which is really stupid. I don't know why they don't do it by default. And then I throw a weather applet up on the panel next to my clock, and I'm
there.
done.
You go.
Yeah.
So Tim's theming option is stability. That's the option. Theming stability, right?
How much? I mean, you can theme it, and you know what? I'm so OCD that if luckily Pop! OS looks good out of the box theme-wise, but for me, I like Plasma. Oh my lord! With my OCD, I can't stand the desktop environment because,
I used to be
I-
into theming, but at some point I'm like, okay, that's good. Nah, maybe I can make it better. I'm always thinking I can make it better, better color, better this, better icon. If I'm like, stop.
Well,
It
I don't-
works.
see,
That's my theme. You
I
know.
don't do that a lot, but I like to set it up once. So once I
Yeah.
have it set up, I
Yeah.
generally don't touch it again. I'm not
Right.
even they're changing
Right.
the themes every couple of
Right.
days.
Right.
Now on Windows, I think it was Windows 98 when I was studying Windows Registry.
Yeah.
Before Windows 98 had the theme pack, that the add-on that you can put on the control panel, right? In fact, no, I think it was before Windows 98. I was still running Windows 95. It was 98 to introduce the ability to set Windows themes.
Mhm.
Well, I figured out that all of the icon stuff, like everything from the sounds, the icons, the desktops, the colors, everything is all registry files. So what I ended up doing is I built a variety of themes prior to Windows 98 actually developing themes, and they were literally on my start menu as registry entries. So I could go over there and like once a week I'd just change my theme to something else. It was
There you
just
go.
fun and geeky. But now I like changing the computer to make it look good at, because I sit in an office surrounded by computers for 12 hours a day. I want something that I control what it looks like. I set up the computer once, it takes me about an hour or so,
Right,
and then I
yeah.
never touch it again. But it's gorgeous
Yeah.
to look at.
There you go.
That's why I do it.
Tim, do you want to read what Terry Love said?
Yeah, I just saw that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm surprised Rocco over at Big Daddy Linux is still running Pop OS right now.
Yeah.
I would venture to say that he's probably done a heck of a lot more to theming it
Yeah.
or whatever than I have.
And Terry does say, he says, Tim, honestly, compared to Big Daddy, don't have OCD. We'll give
Yeah.
Big Daddy Linux another plug. Check out Big Daddy Linux. I guess he likes to distro hop still. Is he still doing it? I don't know. You know.
I thought he
Well,
was staying on the same distro for a while, but I haven't talked to
Maybe,
him.
yeah. Again, I have noticed Derek has been quiet the last couple days. So, has he gone insane yet? I don't know.
Derek? Yeah, you know, I
Yeah.
think he's put up videos every day, but I haven't seen him for
the
a
last
couple
couple
weeks.
days. Yeah. No, he was on the 3-4 days ago, I think, and then silence. I knew Ghost BSD did not work. You know, when he had a choice between Ghost BSD and Windows 10, I get it. He doesn't like Windows 10, but I'm like, oh man, this ain't gonna be good. And sure enough,
Yeah, they're correct in the chat. Big Daddy Rocco is still on Pop OS.
very good.
I think he's been on it for, you know, I venture to say maybe close to a month.
Wow.
But he, along with a lot of other folks, kind of the GNOME type folks,
Yeah.
are just waiting, you know,
Yeah.
as patient as we can for Elementary to release.
Okay. Well, I tested it
Yeah.
elementary. It looks slick. It's not for me
Yeah.
personally, but it looks slick. Yeah.
Derek has not been on in 3 days. We should check on him.
No, he usually stops by, say what's up, and I hope the Vegemite didn't have a late-minute diaspora
He
effect. in
jumped
the
on
toilet.
one of my streams. It might have been Friday, but that's
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
okay. So we've heard him from him 2 days ago.
He's probably
Just continue,
reinstalling what he
rewind.
had before. He's probably thinking, "Geez, I should have went with Easy Windows 10." I don't know.
I wouldn't
Compared to Ghost BSD, yeah,
I wouldn't read into it too much. It's the weekend.
True,
Who,
yeah.
who knows? He could have had
right,
he could have had family plans or something.
Yeah.
true. Derek, I hope you're okay, buddy.
Get a recovery from Flash, but failed verification is input correctly, but I'm close.
David says just as guilty. Okay.
Oh.
I have Ubuntu Mate and this one, Linux Mint. Linux Mint. Wow, I just realized I got Linux Mint on my second desktop, which I may give to my son for college. I have Linux Mint Cinnamon on my ThinkPad. On my older ThinkPad, I have Linux Mint XFCE. See, that's how good Linux Mint is. It just works out of the box. You know.
Carbon Program says, I was talking about how Linux is better than Windows, and the guy was like, quote, you cannot handle the ultimate glory of Windows. Oh boy. Linux got me out of a depression episode. My life revolves around computer science, and have you tried programming on Windows? It sucks. All my programming courses, I think, were on Windows 95 or so. Let's see, what year was that?
Yeah.
Maybe they were 97 or 98, Windows 98. I don't know. They were 95 or 98. That's the last time I did programming at a college level.
Once again, those of you joining late, this is a Life in Linux
We kind of
vidcast
finished our
podcast.
topic, but now we're
We
just
kind of finished, but those of you who are joining in, and especially if you're a newbie, please do stop by and say hello, as always, to me or Switch's channel. But yeah, you can replay this if you miss any of this.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Spin Viking
course.
says a 2.5% market share is good for the Linux user because hackers and malware generally leave us alone.
that's a plus.
People are spending money on their computers, Mac and
Yeah.
MS users they target. Yep.
Yeah, that is true.
How to make Linux mainstream from Spindex. He says, put some hardware and software maker into a group and push Linux. But you need NVIDIA, AMD, Intel, and companies like HP, Dell, but the software is important too. Jan Lopez says, dual boot. Greetings, Jan Lopez. How's it going?
Steve Gunick says, hello, guys. Hello to all the Steves. We have Steve, Steven.
Kyrie Holmes. I checked out your channel the other day, Kyrie. Pretty cool stuff. I was looking at what you were doing for music production for a friend of mine now. LMMS, I think you're using over there. Is it still good?
By the way, I did send an invitation or a suggestion to Brian Lunduke for a little chat with him.
Oh, good.
Since
Cool.
we've had a few viewers say you would love to listen to Toss and Brian have a chat. It's fine
Haven't
with
heard
me.
back yet.
Not yet. So Brian, if you are, I shouldn't say I'm challenging you. That sounds so unfair.
Why don't, I mean,
Let's have a talk.
Yeah,
Hey,
maybe
forget
like-
about what they say. Have a talk.
let's invite him on to a Life in Linux
Life in
podcast.
Linux. Hey, why not? But yeah, I'm all for it, Brian. Yeah.
My mom might be clicking on ads. She's probably downloading internet video games and all sorts of other stuff that she could do on Linux without it impacting her computer.
Hello, Nick Hodson. Hello. He says just to say that I'm still watching Linux Mint 18 in a virtual box. Are you dual booting, Nick? That's why you have virtual box, or welcome anyway.
Okay, my mom's computer just gets screwed up because she keeps ignoring software updates. That's not the reason, I promise you. I ignore software updates all the time, and I don't have those problems.
Adblock plus time. Okay,
I
Frostbite.
think it was Louis Rossman on a video recently. He said software updates aren't there to keep your system secure. Software updates are there to break your computer so you go buy a new one.
Sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
If
Yeah,
only
just
people
because
would
there's an
stop
update
trying
doesn't mean
to.
do it. No, was it?
Q1 Fiend says, if only people would stop trying to steal win iPods by clicking on banner ads. Really, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
JJ Games' little sister is 4 and using Kubuntu.
Wow. Okay.
But Linux meant to be done with it, my wife says.
Okay.
Well, actually, with my mother's computer, I would actually run Peppermint, probably Peppermint 8. And the reason is, since she uses Facebook and a few other web apps, I'm just going to give her an ICE application to those applications so she can hopefully just avoid the internet altogether.
Yep.
Mugen
Not only
just
that,
said,
but it
yeah.
has better ad blocker built into it.
Mugen in the chats. Yeah, I did get your message. It was you. I forget who it was. Yeah, I so when you spoke to Brian, did you text him, email him personally, Mugen? Was that the gist of the conversation, Mugen? But yeah, I sent him an email. We'll see what happens. Unless now he's gotten so famous and popular, who needs Talk to Lowly Toss or Switch?
I think Brian is still. I think he's still a down-to-earth guy.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
Jan Lopez just cringes at the idea of a standardized distro. Mr. GFY says it'd be the key for Linux, $400 desktop. That's how far behind in the comments I am, by the way. We were talking about that stuff 20 minutes ago. Linux has changed my life. I learned how to script and learned how to troubleshoot mega computer issues, etc. Linux is just satisfying to use on the daily. Very good.
Cool.
Very good. Didn't
You know, I have
Dell
to-
have
I-
an, yeah, Dell and HP, I believe, both have options to get a PC with Ubuntu installed on it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Nick. So you're not dual booting running Windows still, much to your shame. Nothing to be ashamed about. If it works, use it. Just so just so you realize how it works and what it does. There's nothing wrong with that. Keep looking for the ideal configuration to switch. I would say Ubuntu Mate, but that's just me. But Linux Mint is good. It is awesome.
Yeah,
You got no shame with Windows.
Yeah,
Keep
I have too
using
many
it, yeah.
problems on Ubuntu Mate, actually.
Yeah, you tell me that. Yeah, it's strange. Yeah, I don't have it in my system, but you know, anything's possible.
The thing is, I mean, we use our systems for different things. And,
Yeah.
there's some things that
Right.
are just not as suited for that, you know?
Yeah.
So,
Right.
um,
Right.
The one key thing I see Nick saying there is he keeps looking for his ideal configuration to switch.
Yeah.
That is probably one of the best said things that we can take here, because not all I'm kind of a perfect example. Not all distros work with all hardware. Some are a cut above, some are a cut below. But researching it would be invaluable to anybody.
Linux is predictably unpredictable. Unless you buy it in a store or online, then it should work the way you want it to. It's because that's what you paid for.
Carbon Programmer says the Chromebooks are a trap to put you in the cloud. So is Windows and Apple.
I guess, yeah.
How about everything but Linux is a trap to put you in the cloud?
Mhm.
So the guy is telling you about, before we started there, he actually did a really cool video about it, and I'll tell everybody who it is if he agrees with someone. But he did a really neat video about how modern day computing is very much like it was back in the old days, where you had a mainframe that did everything and the individual workstations that were just dumb computers. That's
Yeah.
effectively what we are turning our systems into. We have these
Yeah.
big, beefy, powerful systems, and we're not doing anything on them.
Well, I mean, most people don't need powerful systems. I kind of do. Like if I want to render more videos and stuff, you just need that power, you know, processing power. But most mom and pop don't need $1,000, $2,000 machine. They just don't need it.
Correct. They need to just be able to get on the internet, play a few internet games, card games, and things like that. You know.
David says Linux are unpredictable, hence distro hopping. LOL. Well, no, because each system will have its own set of quirks and little bugs. All of them. Period. You know. The question is to pick the distro that narrows it down to maybe, you know, one little quirk, you know, or two little quirk that you can deal with. You know, I had a quirk in the weather app in Ubuntu Mate. Sometimes it just wouldn't show, and you know, it had to refresh and update. But that's okay. You know, that doesn't
might just
kill
be
it.
something with open weather maps, because
It could be.
there's a limit to how many times you can access it, and you
Okay.
can generally fix that if you do your own custom open weather maps. API.
I understand. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I figured, but that's cool. I mean, you know, that's the only little
Yeah.
quirk, and I could deal with that. But that's
I've
the
run into
secret.
that
Yeah.
on my my
Okay.
weather app on my Lineage phone, because of course I'm
Okay.
using open weather stuff on the Lineage phone, and it would not
Yeah.
work sometimes unless you register for your own API.
Got it. Okay.
Throw away email to get it.
Okay, fair enough. But
Yeah.
that's the thing about distro hopping. I was able to narrow it where this one had the least, and my Linux Mint, the least amount of little quirks or bugs.
Nick says Outlook, there isn't even a Linux alternative that comes close. Incorrect. Evolution and Kmail. Kmail is a lot harder to configure, but Evolution is Evolution will do everything Outlook will do just as
Okay.
good. Does Linux have remote desktop? I believe it does. In fact, I know it does. That's what Joe Collins uses. I've never used it.
Yep.
Now, Steve's very own says he spent weeks researching hardware that worked well with Linux, specifically Ubuntu, because I knew I was sticking with Peppermint. Okay. You ordered a system from a bare bones site. Okay. Yeah, again, doing the research ahead of time. And they even tested it on Ubuntu. Great. Yeah. Yeah, when I'm ready to buy my machine, I'm just going to, obviously it'll have Windows 10 pre-installed, you know. And again, that'll be my backup, and then I'm sure I'll be able to install something as a dual boot, you know, to make it work, you know. A good name for a Linux computer store. Distro hoppers are us. That's good for geeks.
No, just do distros are us.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Drop
yeah.
the.
Yeah. Or Linux is us. There we go. Steve
Yeah.
Zorion, your system has not had an issue yet. Steve, what did you buy again? Yeah.
Yeah.
Hi,
Carbon-
Twilly.
Carbon
Twilly.
says, I tried asking the store if I get a laptop without Windows. They said it comes with Windows. The store, the Costco. Yeah, the only place you could possibly get a laptop without an operating system on it would be a custom build store.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they
Micro-
they just come shipped with operating systems.
Micro Center offers. They have some offerings without OSs on them.
Who's that?
Very Micro
Micro
Center.
Center.
Never heard of them.
Unfortunately, there's not a lot of Micro Centers around, but it's a pretty small sampling, and it's not the type of deal where it's tested or approved for Linux or any specific distribution. But they do have some machines that are OS free.
I wonder if Amazon has that. Any machines with no OS?
Fintech stuff. Solus Budgie feels like the best mainline Linux distro. No, completely not. The biggest problem with Solus is its repository is too small. They fixed that a lot with adding Snap support, but Snap support is, I think Snap and Flatpaks and App Images is more of a gimmick. It's less stable for the system as a whole. There's not enough software in it, and Solus just isn't mature enough to run on most systems. It's good if it runs on your system. It's really good. I really like it, but it doesn't have as much support as it should.
Mugen says Linuxsaurus. That reminds me of a joke. What do you call a blind dinosaur? Do you think he's Saurus?
Yeah.
Oh, Steve says a desktop that was on a name brand, Magic Micro. I love the name, Magic Micro. I'm not familiar with that. Amazon has refurb machines that have free DOS. Okay. All right.
Everything should work out of the box. That's the advantage of Windows 10. Hardware Linux is customized. However, Linux is customizable so you can make stuff work.
Flatpak and Snap are pretty secure. I would hope so. Twiley. So it seems like for the people in the chat, Linux has affected these fine folks in a good way. You know. Oh, Steve, they're in Ohio? Which part of Ohio? I'm in Ohio. Steve's very own. Which part of Ohio? Tomorrow is Amazon Prime Day, Heather. Okay, thanks. I'll sleep better tonight. No, it makes no difference to me.
No, you won't. Your Echo will wake you up several times. Did you know it's Prime Day? Did you know it's Prime Day? I see you're not signed up for Prime. Did you know it's Prime Day?
That's why I have the master on-off switch, the power cable. Off.
MS Exchange servers, tasks, sync calendars. Yeah, Evolution will do all that, Nick. It will do Exchange servers. It will do tasks. It will do calendar syncs. It will do all that. Yeah.
Hello, Michael Lindorf. Welcome. Oh, Cleveland. Okay, that's like 2.5 hours away from me. Got it. Okay.
Alex
Laura B.
QT.
Hi, Laura.
Sheesh, I'm so far behind on my comments.
Oh, Mugen says Linux AUR us. Get it? I get it now. Yeah. Linux R us. All right, okay. Good
Nice.
one. Nice, yeah. You can run Flatpak from your home directory. Yeah, I actually downloaded the Flatpak for Kdenlive, and it's slow in my machine. The app image is faster.
I don't think Flatpaks app images. I don't think that's a real viable thing. It's more of a gimmick, in my opinion.
Well, the app image is faster than the Flatpak for me. I don't know why.
Yeah, the advantage, of course, is if you need different versions of dependencies to work better.
Right, you're right.
There's an advantage to it, but
yeah.
I see it moving. I see it trying to move Linux in the direction of apps, and that's the last thing I want Linux to move to.
We'll see what happens.
I don't want Chromebooks and iOS and Android. It doesn't need to do that. It should stick with how it is. And, it's good to have the option, but it's...
Well, Laura says I had to learn how to use Vim and Linux commands for introductory computer science class. It was forbidden to use Visual Studio. Glad I went through the pain. Okay, Laura. It's changed your life. Nice. You mean the way they run Twilio? Okay. Yeah, I've only tried one Flatpak Kdenlive. The snap I downloaded was Spotify. Something else it was fine. The Kdenlive app image seems fine. I don't mess too much with those type of software personally. Skybear says, yeah, the Flatpak Kdenlive was 2 gig. I know. It's crazy. Yeah. I know. I should delete it. I'm not sure how to delete a Flatpak. I gotta... Is that what command line only? I think it is, yeah.
Well, I know on Mint you can delete the Flatpaks directly from the software.
I'm not sure what I
from the Software Center. I don't know about Ubuntu.
I'll have to check, yeah.
And then, of course, one of the downsides on the Linux distros is to get rid of stuff. You know, you need to get rid of the configuration file in the home folder too, unless you want to keep all that data, which is always an option. Linux Mint Mate would let me change the volume to 150 like Cinnamon. I'd be using it. 98 SE was a working version of 95. So this guy says, teacher told me he recently needed a Microsoft account to continue using Windows 10. Toss, any experience on that?
I'm sorry, say that again now?
Needing a Microsoft account in order to continue using Windows 10.
To continue?
So apparently he was logged in with a local account, but he had to upgrade. I know that beta program you have to have a Microsoft
Yeah, with the beta, that is true. But
this is the first I've heard of that.
The setup I did on the 2 Windows 10 machines a few weeks ago, I just created local user accounts.
Right.
Yeah.
And
so
it was cool.
Talk to your teacher about that and ask him if he's sure.
Yeah.
It does ask you a number of times once you set up a local user account.
It hates local user accounts for sure.
Yeah. It asks
because
like
they have
3
less
times.
control. Right.
Yep.
I have another Linux Has Changed My Life by Robert Brown. Linux has changed my life by giving me the ability to tinker with my OS commensurate with my computer knowledge, starting with Ubuntu 12.04 and now with Debian Stretch, and loving it. Very good. Education.
Cool.
Slayer 101A, greetings. I've not seen you before. Everyone say hello to Slayer. Just don't kill him.
Hello.
Hello.
All right.
It's 11:45, so we've been talking about an hour and a half, so we should probably wrap this up soon. I'm starting to get a little bit tired. The one nice thing about swimming, I start to relax later on, and I'm ready for bed soon, so I feel nice, relaxed, and toasty, and, toasty, get it? Haha.
Random restarts on Windows suck. Like, I see you have an important paper due tomorrow that you procrastinated on. We must perform an update now.
I cracked a joke last night, Switch, about Facebook. Tim was on. Apparently, Facebook will not delete fake news. They will demote it because it's not contrary to their terms of service or whatever. I'm like, oh, it's okay. And I cracked the joke.
They'll block the Declaration of Independence.
Yeah. Well, my joke was, oh, fake news is okay. So I said, well, Facebook is based out of Bangladesh. It's run by 400 and 500 llamas. That's if fake news is good, is accepted.
Jordan Avas asks, what's the best distro to use with Ryzen 2500U, or is Linux still not ready? I'm running Linux Mint on Ryzen 5 1600. That helps perfectly. So try Linux Mint or Ubuntu, or try anything really. I think pretty much it's AMD, so Linux does not generally have a problem with AMD at all. Yeah,
Terry Love, 4:45 a.m. your time. Terry, thank you for staying up with us. Wow.
Frost Ranger of the Frozen Realm. Tried whatever the current version of Microsoft Word on my dad's laptop compared to LibreOffice 6. I must say I'm not impressed. Yeah, and for the most part, I love LibreOffice. I mean, I think it's every bit as good. There's a few little quirks, that most people would never do, like building an index. Who's built an index on Microsoft Office? and who has done EndNotes and figured out how to get EndNotes working in different sectioning, and who has run a 1-column paper with 2-column indexing notes. Some of those things are easy to accomplish on Microsoft Office, but it's not like they're not overwhelmingly hard on LibreOffice. They are different and they are a little clunkier, and I think LibreOffice needs to work on those. Particularly the problem with indexing is it sees how to split the columns on LibreOffice 6, but it doesn't know where to put the ending, so it basically spaces everything the full size, but puts the columns in the right location. Annoying, very annoying. So you end up doing some more manual adjustments to the index than you'd probably want to, but I'd rather do that than support Microshaft. So. And then really it took me an hour to put my index together. So, and with LibreOffice to build, literally I built, what I did is in the reprint of my one book I'm doing, I wanted to have a scripture reference. Well, LibreOffice supports a concordance file. Basically, you just create a file, a delimited file, import into there, and the thing will automatically scan your document for every instance of those words and build an index.
By the way, Tom, someone had asked if Switch was underground or something like that because of the darkness.
He's in the Bat Cave.
I am in the Bat Cave.
Yeah. See, he's part of the dark web. Ha ha.
Steve Anderson asked made a comment here. Before that, all of you folks that are out there in no matter what part of the world you're in, make sure if you're watching this on either Switch to Linux stream or on Total OS today, smash that like button. Hit it.
Right.
These guys do a lot of hard work, and it's for the benefit of all of us. Give them some love. Hit the like button. Steve Anderson made a comment that says, I have a lot of NVIDIA graphic cards and they suck with Linux. Tom, you have a fair amount of experience with NVIDIA graphics, don't you?
Actually, I run AMD graphics because NVIDIA's not a very good system. What you want to do is you want to look for the distros that support them out of the box easily. Like Linux Mint actually has an NVIDIA default system. So if you know you're running that, grab that. And I think on theirs it's built into the main distro where you boot into it and then there's an NVIDIA card system. Manjaro has the option where booting up you can go ahead and select the NVIDIA option as well. And there's numerous other ones out there that do as well. So hunt down those distros that are using those so that they can work. Arch is going to give you headaches if you're trying to run NVIDIA because you have to manually configure it from a terminal before the thing will boot properly. And there's a few other ones out there.
I haven't heard too much about Intel graphics though. I'm assuming that they work.
I've never had a problem.
I don't have a problem. My Dell Inspiron laptop runs Linux Mint with Intel integrated Intel graphics.
I know that Pop! OS has a specific ISO for NVIDIA.
Yeah. Mr. A. Claus says, I don't currently use Linux, but I've thought about dual booting. Every time I run into a problem that Unix can't fix, takes me one step closer. Mr. A. Claus, I have a better suggestion for you. Rather than dual booting, you want to pick up some thumb drives and install Linux on the thumb drive rather than dual booting.
Yeah. Yep.
And the reason is when you put multiple operating systems on the same hard disk, it can kind of become a two-headed monster, and they're particularly fighting over the bootloader. And if your bootloader goes bad, then you can't get into anything, and that renders a problem.
Yeah.
But Linux has zero qualms with installing and running itself on a USB drive. Of course, if you have a desktop computer, just throw a second hard drive in there and install on the second hard drive. But if you're doing that, pull the first hard drive, because if you're installing Linux on a second hard drive on a computer with 2 hard drives, it still wants to default to that first hard disk taking the bootloader. And that's what you don't want to happen. So pull the other disk, install it all, and then you use your computer's boot menu to select which disk you load the bootloader from. That's the best way to do a dual boot.
King of Bass, 160 hertz. Interesting. I would love to see Linux commercials on TV someday. My friends and family are clueless every time. Yeah, I mean, I cracked about, that was it, Friday night? We should have celebrities. Tom, you were on. I mean, we should have Arnold talk about KDE is fantastic. We were just talking about that, Friday.
Yes, we are.
Or Stallone. Hey, I like KDE. I think it'd be great. Yeah, why not? Yes, Mugen, Lina Oris, the raptor of OSs. Yeah, we need a national distro just to get it started, and then
Chinese
have a
already
national.
has one.
The what?
China already
Yeah,
has one.
yeah.
They have two.
Yeah. Yes, it's called Pirate OS.
No, they have Kylin.
True. Yeah.
Which is
True,
specifically
true.
a Chinese one.
True. Okay.
Isn't that's Ubuntu, isn't it?
Yeah,
Switch.
it's
Yeah.
the Chinese
Mhm.
edition.
All right, it's 7 till midnight. So let's make this of like a 5-minute warning for comments and suggestions. I don't have any. I like to end these streams on funny news. I don't have funny news. I do have some one-liners that I printed out some time ago, and I can finish up with these, so we can go with that. So anything else in the chat, be my guest. So we got a few minutes left. Let's finish up with some humor. I want to thank everybody again in the chat. Of course, Tom and Tim. All right, Steve Zorion, have a good night. But wait, listen for these funny jokes first. These are
There's some funny jokes. We're
all right.
Funny jokes.
One-liners off the web. These are not mine, just to give credit where credit is due. I think I've said some of these before. Anyway, women who seek to be equal to men lack ambition. Sorry, I don't date outside my species. A bartender is just a pharmacist with a limited inventory. Okay. Always remember you are unique, just like everyone else. Ha ha. If FedEx and UPS were to merge, would they be called
Fed up.
Fed Up? I like this one. 5 out of 4 people have trouble with fractions. It's clever. Do Lipton employees take coffee breaks?
No.
Just a thought. Women should put pictures of missing husbands in beer cans. Let's see. Anything else here, or is that it? I'm starting to fade here. Few women admit their age. Fewer men act it. That's true. I don't suffer from insanity. I enjoy every minute of it. Hard work has a future payoff. Laziness pays off now.
There you go.
There you go. And that's it for the one-liners. Thank you, Michael, for spreading the love. Thank you, sir. Peace. Tranquility to you, Michael. Thank you for the super chat. Good night, Twiley. Now, if I get a response from Brian Lundug, what questions should I ask him? Right? Just a thought.
Just bring them on. I don't know. Maybe I'll think of some. We can do a like the Linux.
I don't know. I mean, I would just, honestly, if he did reply and I was just me and him, I would just say hello, how's things going, and what distro do you use?
Ask him about his studio build too.
Yeah, that's I'm gonna write that down. Actually, yeah, he has. That's his goal on. There's a question because I don't think he can do it for $4,000 a month unless he has other sponsors.
He's actually said he's already building it.
Yeah, you said that. There's got to be something else going on. No way he can do it for $4,000 a month. No way.
Well, I mean that's just his Patreons.
Right. He may have another, whatever coming in.
He also has corporate sponsors. Too.
Well, I'll ask him. If he doesn't mind, he doesn't have to give the names, but maybe that's what. Of course, my pen's running out of ink.
Of course.
I'll remember it. Studio, Brian's studio.
He has this so much experience in this world that we look at, through the lenses of Linux.
Yeah.
Where do you come up with questions? On one hand, it's kind of easy to come up. It would be easy to come up with questions, On the other hand, it would just be really difficult because he's got so much. He's got so much
Yeah.
experience and so much to say.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's right. Spin Viking has figured it out, honestly. I am live from Thailand. We just rescued the boys soccer team. That is right. Oh, CS Reindeer. Hello from an obscure PA small town. I'm not in a small PA town, but I am also in a PA town. You are no longer than 2 hours from me because I am exactly in the middle of the state. Pizza came back on. Pizza. Also, Noah came back on. Hello, Noah.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah,
I'm
we gotta
off.
wrap this up. Yep.
How far are you from like Allentown and Reading?
Allentown, Reading are about 2.5 hours.
Okay.
Famous song from Billy Joel, "'Cause we're living here in
Here in
Allentown."
Allentown.
Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah, I think that's about right. I did did some whitewater rafting two years ago. That was just
Wow.
outside of there. I think it was
Okay.
2 hours
Mm.
or so.
That was brave of you.
Yeah, well, it wasn't that bad.
And how
It
many
wasn't
lights for
like-
the studio? You want me to ask him, Sky Bear? Okay.
How many lights?
For the studio. There's $5,000 right there, probably. You know.
Comment set approved on my why I stopped using Canon Neon, and it was really long rant about the video, but I hit delete instead of approve on mistake. That looks like I can't take criticism.
Steve Paul says, "Mint Sin is king." That sounds like a movie title. Mint Sin, C-I-N, Sin is king. Mint
Yeah.
Sin is king.
I see that
Alright.
same one too, Steve Paul. That's what I'm on.
All right, 2-minute warning, and I'm out of here.
Anna
It is
Rita's
midnight.
gone. Your thoughts on Google Fuchsia?
See you, Heather. Bye.
No. Hate me because 2 videos I did, Why I Love Manjaro, which got posted on the Manjaro, and Why I Love Kitty Email. Yeah. Hey, Tyler Torvin. Hello, Switchlinks. My name is Tyler. I'm wondering, have you heard of a computer company known as Origin PC? I have not. Hello, Tyler. Greetings.
I don't know that one.
You guys heard of Origin PC?
I have not. No.
No, I have not.
Haven't heard of them.
No, we have not. I've hit the bottom of my comment thread, and my sincere apologies to anybody that I missed your comments. There were just so many comments.
Yeah, I've been trying to keep in
through
track
there,
here,
and,
but
I
I
just
think
couldn't
we
get
got.
Let me see if I can find a kitty.
Yeah.
Kitty. Kitty, kitty. I gotta end the stream right.
Let's do it.
Oh, we got another cat over here.
That darn cat.
Oh, what was that one joke that one night? Dogs have masters, cats have staff.
Yes, and this is actually the noisy one. She does
Tux
not
Digital is in the
She
house.
does not
Michael
like-
Tunnell, welcome, Michael.
Here we go. There you go.
Oh,
kitty.
geez. Should we invite Michael for the last, 5 minutes of the stream?
I thought we were already ending, but we
I
can,
know.
sure.
I know.
I
Tux
don't know.
Digital, check out Tux Digital /tosstoday.com. No, but
One more?
I had to. Michael,
be-
would you like to join us for the wrap up? Just for you, Michael, I'll stay up. Tux has a weekly show every Saturday. He starts it when he wants to, and he usually stops it when he wants to. I think that's Michael's schedule. Yeah.
Kitty. Kitty. I don't know where
Michael,
the,
send me an
comment
email.
is.
We'll get you up here for another 5 minutes or so if you want. It's totalostoday1@gmail.com if you want. I know he starts when he wants it to. Yeah. Yeah. See, my longest stream was 6 hours.
That was the toss-a-thon, right?
Yeah, I think that's still the record versus Tux Digital. I don't know. Okay, you're doing something. You're editing. Okay, Tux, I'll catch you on the next one. Cool.
Okay, if you had one, if you had to choose one, Verizon, T-Mobile, Sprint, or AT&T.
Verizon, probably.
Yeah, I do Verizon
Yeah.
also.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing. Like, we still have competition in the cell phone world, and that's why
Yeah.
prices in cell phones are low. We have no competition on ISPs, and it's out of control.
Yeah, Verizon's good.
Yeah, yeah, and Verizon I think is good because like Verizon and AT&T are probably the better ones.
Tux Digital said 7 hour streaming, and if you count Biddle, 9 hours. That's a lot.
That is a long day.
Yeah.
See, that's how Linux has affected Tux Digital's life. He's
Virgin
gone insane.
PC
No, just kidding.
Is a high-end computer company that sells computers compatible with the Oculus Rift. Oh. Yes,
Verizon for coverage, Tux, yes. Metro PCS for Bell, yeah. Verizon's good. It might be a masochist. That's how Linux has affected TD. He's a masochist. Oh well.
You know, I would probably this where we're at here in Minnesota. I would probably go towards T-Mobile.
Okay.
Just for coverage. For whatever reason,
Okay.
Verizon has some problems, especially when you get up
Wow.
in extreme northern Wisconsin and northern Minnesota.
Interesting.
It has some
Heather
problems.
says AT&T. Yeah. All toss and tux.
We haven't talked about food yet. Let's get on the food thing. Let's get it over with.
I came prepared. I got my crackers. I had a
Well,
I had a taffy, saltwater taffy.
I busted out my my Snickers ice cream Rev 2 today.
Oh man, stop.
Oh man,
Shut
vanilla
up.
ice cream. I did ground up peanuts. I basically chopped peanuts in a coffee grinder, mixed it with homemade hot fudge and homemade caramel. Yeah, that's a little too good.
Well, I don't have that.
After last night's stream, I ran to the oven and preheated it and threw in pizza rolls because we were sitting around talking about food and I just needed something. to eat,
They were
so-
waiting for you. They were so
pizza.
lonely.
Pizza loving nerd says, please don't talk about pizza. But pizza, I had one of the greatest pizzas I ever made tonight. I think we did make my best pizza tonight. Wow, it was good. We actually, I mean, how's this? I mean, this pizza was covered in pig, man. I had diced ham left over, and we put bacon on it. So we had bacon, ham, and peppers. Oh, it was so good.
I like that. This pizza was covered in pig.
It was covered in pig, and we use way too much bacon. We're like, there's no such thing as too much bacon. So we put on the bacon on that one.
One of my favorite pizzas. You don't see it a lot, but there's a chain of convenience stores here in the Midwest called Quick Trip, and they sell a breakfast pizza that's got scrambled eggs on it, bacon, sausage, light mozzarella, and I can't remember what they use for a sauce, but it is awesome. I get it. See, now I'm hungry again. Ah, dang it.
You mentioned food. I didn't say a single freaking word.
Yeah, you sit there sticking the crackers in your.
Well, when you said
your
food,
mouth.
I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot. Gee, I wonder where this came from.
I have a dog treat right here.
Cat
I should
treats.
probably give it to the dog. Okay, if
This
Tom
is-
can do it with
My
the cats.
taffy, not too
There you
much
go.
left. And
Yeah,
I like,
there you go.
the box is almost gone.
Is he?
but,
Is he?
Yeah. Tyler says, are you an Android or Apple person? I run Lineage OS because I don't like either Apple or Android.
Yeah.
Of course, Lineage is kind of a ROM of Android, but it's,
How has Linux affected our lives? We've gained weight.
speak for yourself. Snickers ice cream, the most ignored nutrition label in history.
Tux eats only once a day. What?
That's actually what I do too.
Forget about. We got to change that. And now
Yeah,
that we're
way better.
torturing him. Oh, poor
Way better to
baby.
eat once a day because when you are not eating and your body is fasting, that's actually when it's healing itself. So it's better to eat once a day.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. Maybe a
I
snack,
cannot
small
eat once a
snack here
day.
and there from
I can eat
How-
twice a day. I've done that, but once a day.
How can the guy shovel food in his mouth when he's in front of a camera and a computer for 9 hours? Come on.
I know.
Android's been to his phone
No.
at least.
Frostbite this said I blame Tim for making me hungry. No.
You started it.
Kyrie
I did
Holmes
not.
had a turkey burger.
Eat
That
brain
was-
food, Steve. Yeah, well, that's our Linux distros. That's for the food for the brain.
Pizza
Yeah.
says I hat 7 times a day, but he really meant 8. I eat 7 times a day. Eat 7 times a day, man.
Welcome to the Mate and Meatballs
Yeah.
webcast.
Michael this said it's a good point. I didn't get up. I didn't eat or get up the entire time. Dude, what do you have, a catheter?
I had a big old Mountain
Really,
Dew
man?
bottle under the
I
desk.
know. Jeez.
Oh!
Wow.
Excuse
He
me,
had
can
a
I get that Mountain Dew?
No, what? See, I noticed him that one. He was leaning. I think he had an IV on his right side, like this, for like fluids. But nah, I'm just kidding.
Wow.
Yeah.
We do have to. I didn't get a chance to. Carmine, that is a snazzy colored shirt right there.
Thank you. Yeah, it's for the ladies. For Heather and Arita came in. It's I got this at JCPenney's plug. They have Tolman stuff, so was on sale and it fits. I bought 2 of them, this and a teal one. Well, thank you. I think it looks very summerish. So,
Black Death Gaming, your metabolism works better than 7 to 8 small meals per day. It doesn't actually. And the reason is because the metabolism and how everything functions is a function of insulin. And insulin is activated when you eat, and when you don't eat, insulin levels go down, and that's what causes your body to start burning fat. And that's kind of why it works. There is a dietary plan that does eat 7 to 8 small meals a day, but it's kind of
Yeah.
like stepping on the gas
Yeah.
and not revving up gears. It's actually
Well-
not all that good for you. It's effective. It's just not all that good for you.
all I know is I burn fuel calories when I go swimming a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, I have to ask this. Terry Love has a comment in Toss's chat. A full English pizza would also have black pudding on it. Okay.
Well,
So what is black pudding?
Blood pudding.
Dare I ask?
I think it's blood pudding, but they will have to let us know for sure.
I was thinking of
Okay.
Vegemite because it's black, right?
Vegemite is in its own food group.
Tuck says black pudding. That is awful. Yeah, I think of black pudding. I think of something that's spoiled for like 5 years, and you open it up, and it's like, ugh.
We got to do let's go to the Google and type in black
All right, go ahead, and then that's the end of this. I'm going to bed.
pudding. Good old Wikipedia to the rescue. Black pudding is a type of blood sausage originating in Great Britain and Ireland. It is made from pork blood, pork fat, or beef suet, and a cereal usually.
I think I saw that on Tim. We lost you. I think I saw that on the Klingons on Star Trek.
Yeah, I had a friend from Manchester.
That's Klingon
so
blood wine
I
with
learned
blood pudding.
a lot of the old English stuff.
Tux, you like that? You Southerners are weird. You like blood stuff from the South?
I don't know. Some of us crazy Pennsylvanians like scrapple, but I don't know.
I'm open to anything, but no. No, thank you, man.
Have you guys ever heard of lutefisk?
No.
Lutefisk is a whitefish, and it is I think it's Norwegian. I'm pretty sure it's Norwegian. And when you cook this stuff, you have to like clear the house out for 3-4 days.
That's ludicrous.
Well, I wouldn't want to do that. I mean, is it going to actually? Before I answer that, is it going to take care of the flea problem? Well, the fleas all die if I cook it in the house for 3 or 4 days.
The cats are gonna go nuts, that's for sure. But I don't know if it'll kill the fleas.
Bummer. Oh boy.
All right, well, I'm going to stop the broadcast here, and I want to say once again, everybody in the chat, thank you.
Yep. Absolutely.
This is fun,
Thanks
and
for hanging out.
this was good. So, Linux has affected your lives again in a positive way. It would appear, when all is said and done, and it has for me and for us. So thank you.
Yep.
All right, I'm going to stop it now.
All
So
right.
Time for me to
bye.
Catch you guys later.
take care, folks.